rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together today. We ask for your wisdom and guidance as we discuss and decide on matters that will affect our community. May we be open to different perspectives, listen with understanding, and work together for common good. We pray for peace, justice, and a spirit of collaboration. It is in your name we ask for the blessing. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you, Councilmember Franzen. Before we get started, I wanted to ask, came to my attention last meeting is, for those of you who don't know, our policy as far as what is called privileges of the floor, opportunities for citizens to address council, our policy is we only do that with regards to items that are on the agenda. And typically, unless we have subject matter experts and so on, or somebody specifically tied to an ordinance, then it's citizens of independence. But I just want to double check before we get started. If there's anybody that did want to speak regarding anything on the agenda, please feel free to sign in. And with that, Madam Clerk, roll call of members, please.
Mr. Brinker?
Here.
Mr. Baylor?
Here.
Mrs. Franzen?
Here.
Mr. Stefan?
Here.
Mr. Vogel?
Here.
Mr. Waite?
All right. Mr. Waite is not registered present, but my understanding he will be here in a matter of minutes, but we will go ahead and move forward. If we find ourselves in a position where we needed that one extra vote, we will wait for him. All right, with that said, first item of business is the approval of our council minutes from our May 5th meeting. Council had the opportunity to review the minutes. Any requests for correction or changes? All right, and I see Councilmember Waite coming, so we'll give it just a minute. Well, 30 seconds. All we can do is 30 seconds.
Everybody turn around and applaud when he walks on.
We're asking how he scored.
Yeah, ask him how his golf game went.
Thank you. Councilmember Waite, did you have any requests for corrections or concerns with the minutes? All right, we just wanted to make sure, just in case. Figure would have heard from you by now, but why take chances? All right, with that said, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Got a motion from Councilmember Fogelpool, second from Councilmember Brinker. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, or I'm sorry, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, our next item of business, which is getting to be a regular thing, but not for much longer. July will be a big month for us, but an exciting, no matter how often we do it, a very exciting moment, is we have a new police officer to swear in. If I could ask Aiden Stuckey to come forward, please. All right, if you would raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as you continue a citizen thereof, and will you faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of police officer for the City of Independence according to the law? And do you solemnly swear that, since the adoption of the present Constitution, you, being a citizen of this United States, have not fought a duel with a deadly weapon within this state nor out of it, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you acted as a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending, so help you God? Additionally, do you solemnly swear that you possess qualifications required for police officer of the City of Independence, Kentucky, and will you endeavor to the best of your ability to detect and prosecute all gamblers and others violating the laws against gaming? Congratulations, Officer Stuckey. If you're worried about it, I'm willing to be in the photo with you.
I'll shake your hand. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations,
Thank you.
buddy.
Councilman, I will let you know that Officer Stuckey leaves us one off of full staff at our current contingent. And last week, we hired a lateral officer from Alexandria, Officer Berger, who brings us 100% up to staff under our current, the current chart. But so assuming this budget passes this evening, as we've all discussed, we've approved 2 additional police officer positions. And should you approve this budget, I hired one of those 2 this morning. So contingent on your approval. But and we've got somebody else very far down the process. So we are hopeful, and Chief and I were talking about it this morning, is when we discussed these addition of the 2, you know, with retirements and everything else that we've had over the last year, and every time we got to full staff, we dropped down again. We thought, well, this is great in theory, we'll add these 2 officers, but will we really ever get there? Doggone it, I think we're gonna get there, so we shall see. And my thanks to the chief, command staff, because we've had some great candidates come in, so very happy. All right, with that, we will move on. We've got several items of old business, mostly or several of those pertaining to the aforementioned budget. First one is ordinance number 2025-0-05, that is our amended budget. Attorney Gatlin, if you would be so kind.
It's an ordinance to the City of Independence, Kentucky, amending ordinance number 2023-0-01, an annual budget adopted thereby for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriations for the operation of city government, incorporating line items and providing for modifications and amendment thereto. As you can see, the attached document shows what is struck through are the old numbers, what is next to it in the amended column is what the new numbers were for the amended 2024-2025 budget.
All right. Any discussions or questions regarding the amended budget? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-005.
Motion from Councilmember Franzen. Got a second from Councilmember Waite. Just ahead of you. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Waite?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brinkert?
Yes.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
All right, the budget passes unanimously, thank you. And I think all of you know this, but I didn't mention before, is our Finance Director Gibson is here if anybody has any questions too. Which takes us on to ordinance number 2025-0-06, and that is our proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year that begins on July 1. Attorney Gatlin, if you would.
It's an ordinance of the City of Independence, thereby adopting the annual budget for a fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriations for the operation of the city government, incorporating line items and providing for modification and amendments thereto. Attached, you will see the budget in summary format, which lists the estimated revenues, the estimated appropriations, and the estimated fund balance. And as indicated in the document, it is estimated that there will be significant excess that will then be transferred to the fund balance, and it is by state law a balanced budget.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Any questions or discussion regarding the proposed budget? Okay. Hearing none, I would ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-006.
Second.
Second, motion from Councilmember Franzen, second from Councilmember Waite, once again. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Right, that motion passes unanimously. Hallelujah, we are funded for another year. So, thank you all very much. This part was easy, the several months leading up to it, I know for all of us, were a lot of time spent and very much appreciated to staff and council. Thank you. All right, moving down the line, we've got what is kind of a housekeeping item that goes along with the budget every year. This is our employee pay classification, passed by ordinance. Attorney Gatlin, if you would.
It's an ordinance to the City of Independence in Kenton County, Kentucky, amending ordinance number 2024-0-11, which enacts a personnel and pay classification plan pursuant to KRS 83A-070 subsection 3. As,
Last year.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're amending, yeah, I apologize. 2024-0-11, you're amending that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
Yep. Attached to the ordinance is the Exhibit A, which indicates the new pay bands, and as you can see, most of these have been just, there's 3 or 4 bands that have been adjusted for inflation.
All right, thank you, sir. Any discussion? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-0-07.
A motion from Councilmember Fairler.
I'll second.
Got a second from Councilmember Steffen. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
All right, that motion passes both unanimously and enthusiastically. That was impressive. And that takes us out of budget territory and moving down to our renewal of our right-of-way franchise, specifically our gas franchise and our electric franchise. This is another one that's fairly simple in front of us, but it's a lot of time and work over the last couple of months getting things organized for this. So this is a renewal of our current, well, it's called a renewal. It's actually accepting the bids. That part of that renewal probably may expire as we start from scratch, go to bid again. So.
This is an ordinance creating and establishing for bid a non-exclusive natural gas franchise for the placement of facilities for the transmission, distribution, and sale of natural gas within the public right-of-way of the City of Independence for a 10-year duration, reserving the right to impose a franchise fee in and up to the sum of 5% of franchisees' gross receipts per year from the franchisee's sale of natural gas to gas-consuming entities inside the City of Independence corporate limits, and further providing for compliance with relevant laws, regulations, and standards, indemnification, insurance, cancellation, or termination and bid requirements, all effective on date of passage. Just to give a little bit of history, so cities all have franchises with electric and gas providers. Obviously, we have a formal process. We have to put it out to bid. There's only going to be one person bidding. There's no magic to any of this. We only have, we have somewhat isolated providers of services, but the law requires us to enter into franchise agreements with utility companies. This is literally a complete duplication of what we did 10 years ago. Nothing is practically changing. We just have to do it every 10 years.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for that context. Okay. Any discussion regarding the gas franchise bid? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-0-8.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Councilmember Waite, second from Councilmember Vogelpohl. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
All right, once again, that is unanimous passage. We are through 4 of our old business items. No pun intended, but we are cooking with gas right now. Not even nothing? No.
Yeah, well, let's crank up the electric on this.
Script that.
Not even you, I was going to say, even not from you. All right, we'll just move right on to ordinance number 2025-0-09, our electric franchise bid. Attorney Gadlin, get me off the hook.
This is an ordinance creating and establishing forbidden non-exclusive electric franchise for the placement of facilities for the transmission, distribution, and sale of electrical energy within the public right-of-way of the City of Independence for a 10-year duration, reserving the right to impose a franchise fee in of the sum of up to 5% of franchisee's gross receipts per year from the franchisee's sale of electricity to electric-consuming entities inside the City of Independence corporate limits, and further providing for compliance with relevant laws, regulations and standards, indemnification, insurance, cancellation, or termination and bid requirements, all effective on date of passage. Exactly the same as what I just said on the gas. This is just for electric.
All right, thank you, sir. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass, or make a motion for ordinance number 2025-009.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion from Councilmember Franzen, second from Councilmember Fairler. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
All right. That motion passes unanimously. That does complete our old business for this evening. Moving on, we do have a couple of items of new business. First item of new business is a request to amend ordinance number 2019-0-008. This request came in from the property owner, specifically pertaining to the old Fifth Third branch on the corner of Independence Station and Turkey Foot. You all may recall, back in 2019, we discussed this, rezoned it to, I believe it was a neighborhood commercial zone, but certain conditions, council had certain conditions on those, and one of them pertained to the sale of liquor. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a request for a liquor store's interested in moving in there. For what it's worth, I think that discussion was centered a lot around bars and a bar. I don't know if the liquor store is part of it, but whichever it was, yes, Dr. Quast has asked us to consider amending that ordinance. And before we get started, we want to, well, actually, we don't need a reading. Any comments from council before, so I'm going to ask Dr. Quast and his representatives to speak if they'd like to first. I'll take their silence.
I'll wait until they're finished.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Ross, if you wouldn't mind stepping up to the podium.
So again, the property we're talking about is the old Fifth Third Bank at 411 Richardson. And I want to thank the city council and the administrators for their rezone that they did back in 2019. What happened is we had a daycare move into the facility, and they, due to lack of business, basically terminated their occupancy of the space about 18 months early. And so they basically were in the process of reletting it. Now, one of the conditions that we had when we purchased this bank was Fifth Third put a 10-year banking financial service restriction on the property. So we can't have a bank, well, now for 4 more years, okay? So 6 years is up. We've got 4 more years before we could do a bank or a financial institution. And so it's on the market. We've got it listed with Ray Merkel, who's here tonight. And we've had interest from a liquor store operation to go in there. And part of the conditions that were put on the property back in 2019 were there were certain restricted uses, one of which was packaged liquor and wine sales. So we're here to ask if that could be amended. Some information as far as what we plan on doing. We plan on having no change in outside lighting, no change in the building exterior. We would like to use the current drive-through, which is already located there. Store hours would be Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 11, and Sunday, 11:30 to 9. So that's what the proposed tenant basically had in mind. So that's basically what I have. If any questions, I'd like to answer. Or
Chris, is there anybody else signed up to speak on this?
Yeah, we do have a few people who've signed up to speak on this, but since Dr. Quast was the applicant, we would start with them. And if any questions from council at this time? Of course.
Well, I can either wait till we hear from everybody, or I can start now.
I will leave it up to you, or we can,
I'll wait to hear from everybody before I.
all right. Anybody else, any questions this time for Dr. Quast? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have 4 people signed up to speak on this issue. The first one is our former council member, Dave Schaefer. The floor is yours, sir, if you would go to the podium and, what the heck, state your name and address for the record. For old time's sake.
It's good to see everybody again. Dave Schaefer, 887 Independence Station Road. I'm 2 houses removed from the corner lot that we're speaking of here with the old Fifth Third Bank location. Back in 2019, it came to our knowledge that they wanted to redevelop the whole corner situation with the Sunoco station across the street, and they included the banks with the non-commercial property that they took in there. And we came in there and did our council thing, and I learned a lot about city council then before I was actually a council person, understanding how the rules and regulations worked. And we made a lot of give and take back and forth to say what they could and could not put in there. And liquor stores, one of the things we said that they could not put in there at that time. So that was in 2019 when we actually did that situation. When I heard about this situation, I took it up upon myself to do my council member duties again, and I started walking door to door, and I knocked on all the doors of everybody around my neighborhood. And the adamant approval was absolutely not. And if I needed to start a petition to stop this to be assigned to a liquor store, that everybody around me would sign off on that there. I have quite a few of the neighbors here, some of the new young ones that are even moving in here behind me. I don't know if they actually want to speak to the situation or not, but everybody around us is adamantly against the notion of a liquor store going in that corner. There are 2 liquor stores within a mile radius of our area. There's one around the corner on Short Richardson, and there's one directly across the, down just south of, or north of St. Barbara's in the Remke parking lot. So I don't see absolutely no need for a liquor store at that particular location. Would not be thrilled to the traffic coming up down the road, or the what do you say, the crowd that may or may not attend to be around that there. Do I have any questions from council?
Is that basically just the increased traffic is the biggest concern? Because like you said, there are, I mean, it would sit smack between 2 other liquor stores.
It'd be the increased traffic and the type of traffic that would be going in and out of there.
What do you mean by type of traffic? Can you?
Just the people who are going, liquor store traffic. I don't know, let's put that.
Regular people go to liquor stores.
I know, well,
Just
yes, they do, but it's going to be a considerably different type of crowd that would attend a daycare or a bank.
Any other questions for Mr. Schaefer? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I would invite Brent Robinson, like that, come to the podium. If I could ask you to state your name and address for the record as well.
My name is Christopher Brent Robinson. I live at 883 Independence, so right beside Mr. Schaefer. And I'm here to speak about the same subject. I'd like to add briefly to what Dave mentioned about the 2 other liquor stores. Good Spirits by Remke is 0.8 miles away from this property, and then around the corner in the Beech Grove Center, that's a hair less than 0.5 miles, also a liquor store. Add to that, beside the liquor store Beech Grove is also a convenience store that sells beer and malted alcohols. Across the street from the property is a Sunoco, sells beer, malted alcohols, hard ciders. Remke, same, along with the aforementioned liquor store beside Remke. So, that said, bear with me. In regards to alcohol consumed, I looked up a study done by Penn State, and roughly 55% of people over the age of 55 buy beer only. People 21 to 35, they're in the 36% range, and people in the 35 to 55, they're in about 35% range. Add to that the upcoming age group for drinking, Gen Z, They're 13 to 28, so half that population. They care less about beer and alcohol. They care more about the hard ciders, the seltzers, things like that, which can be bought at Remke, the other 2 liquor stores, the Sunoco, UDF, and the convenience store by the liquor store in Beech Grove. That said, I don't see a benefit. I don't see anything related to putting another liquor store in the middle of all that that would help anybody. You might employ 4 people, 1 probably part-time. The hours till, I think it was 11:30, not conducive to a neighborhood. I know the Sunoco stays open till 10-ish, things like that. So, again, you're adding more time, more traffic, more light to a relatively quiet neighborhood, which we want to keep. So, in conclusion, I don't see a benefit to anybody other than maybe the distributors of the alcohol and the property owner to put this there. 0. If I could offer a suggestion, hardware store would be nice. Auto parts store would be nice. We lost Florence Hardware. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Any questions for Mr. Robinson? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Next up, I have Lois Bowers. Okay. I could ask you to state your name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
I'm Lois Bowrice. I live at 1067 Fox Run Drive. My husband and I weren't real happy when Mr. Schaefer came by and told us about this, totally out of the blue, and I'm so glad he did. Got nice neighbors we haven't really met. But I'm just here to support what he said and the other gentleman. It's redundant. There are 2 liquor stores within walking distance of that location. And I understand, the economy and competition, but I don't really think it's needed. We need a donut shop or something like that. Our neighborhood isn't, there's some young people, but a lot of older people. I'm, golden ager here. And we just didn't think it was necessary to add another liquor store. The other ones are easily, accessible technically within walking distance of that location. And traffic on Independence Station Road, since we've been there, we built in 2001, and we're just literally a half a block from there. And the traffic, I travel Independence Station Road a lot. I have my daughter and her family are down close to 17 by the post office, and I'm back and forth a lot. So that stoplight there can get very plugged up with just the traffic from the Sunoco station. Or, it's, when the bank was there, I never noticed any big traffic, no log jams or anything. There's good clearance, but the turn lane to get onto Turkey Foot, especially turning left off of Independence Station, is crazy crowded sometimes, and there's a long line back. So that I see as another problem. That would be a busy place, and bottom line, and unnecessary. It would be redundant, so I'm just here to support my other neighbors and throw my hat in and say, I agree with them. So.
We appreciate your time. Any questions for Ms. Bowers? Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate you coming in. All right, that is everybody I have set to speak. Council, any discussion on this?
I have a question for Dr. Quast.
Okay. Dr. Quast, if I could ask you to step up to the podium again, please.
Dr. Quast, as you know, I've been here for a long time, and I've been here every time you've come and asked for a zone change. And every time you've come for a zone change, nothing has happened. So I guess my question would be, why should I vote for another zone change when nothing has happened with the other 3?
We are working on development down there, the larger piece of property. We're working on several different things. We haven't finalized anything, but we're in the process of working on that.
The lot that sits behind UDF that we worked on forever is still sitting vacant. Nothing has happened. There's been no ground movement whatsoever.
Right.
These residents came 6 years ago, which I can't believe it's been 6 years already. And we worked together to try to come up with a solution. We put these stipulations in that this couldn't go in, and now 6 years later, you're asking me to change my mind when they still don't want it.
Well, I'm asking you to change your mind on one use due to kind of the financial realities.
I understand that, but they have to live there.
No, I understand, and I appreciate what they're, I respect what they're saying. I hear them, and, they have their opinion. I don't think it'd be detrimental, personally at all. The liquor store is commonly used and, so forth, so I don't see a problem with that. I think probably the best use for that property is a bank, but we're restricted for 4 more years on a bank because Fifth Third, made us do that. So, it's a situation where that's what I'll eventually like to see go in there. So we've got, the safe in there and everything, basically that's locked off where people can't, our tenant couldn't get in there and bother that because that's a valuable piece of equipment. And that's the final use I like to see on that property. But again, we're restricted for 4 more years. So, that's kind of, we understand that. That was part of the deal. So we're doing that.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I represent them.
No, I understand.
And they're telling me no, and they told me no 6 years ago, and their mind hasn't changed, so.
No, I understand, but I really don't think that there's going to be a tremendous amount of traffic, more so than a daycare caused by a liquor store. I don't think the traffic's a problem. The tenants, the current liquor stores are on there. We don't know, perhaps they're moving to this location from their old location. So they might be moving from somewhere they're currently located to this one, which would mean there's no more liquor stores. It means they're just moving around. That's another possibility here. So, the market will determine. So basically, we've been approached by a serious person who wants to go in here to do this. I think they've done their calculations in terms of whether it's financially profitable to them or not. I'm not in the liquor store business, so they know their business better than I do. So I think, I don't think there'd be a traffic problem with it. I don't think people that go to a liquor store, especially a Savory, that's just the typical people, you know what I'm saying? Everybody goes, many people drink. We had a prohibition argument a long time ago in this country, and you know what happened there. So basically, the United States allows drinking. So I don't think there's a problem with that. So, a lot of people drink. I have no problem with it at all. So I don't think there's any connotation with that. I don't really understand that, really. There were like about 13 uses we couldn't do, and it was like a bar and, loud music and all those things I could understand, because loud music would be a problem, or a bar, people drinking on site, maybe drunk driving, all that stuff would be very reasonable to me. Why they put a liquor store in there, I have no idea what's wrong with a liquor store. I don't think that's really.
We put a liquor store because we all agreed that they didn't want a liquor store, and you agreed that that was okay, that they didn't want a liquor store.
No, I understand what your argument is. And I'm looking at the financial realities. We had a tenant in there who basically went out because they couldn't make it. And so that was fine with me had they stayed. But they don't want to stay. They're not making any money. They have to make money.
I understand all
that. So
that.
that's the financial reality we've got there. I think a bank would be a great use for that property, but I'm restricted for 4 years. So, Ray Merkel was basically showing the property. The interest we have is for this particular tenant. So that's what we're trying to do.
And again, I understand the financial realities. I do have some concerns about the financial reality of 3 liquor stores being within a mile radius of each other.
However, it could be a situation where you end up with 2 after this is finished.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because, we had, again, I remember getting a lot of heat from residents over there about that UDF property, and I worked with you so we could get that done, and again, it's empty, so you can understand my concern.
And I do. And our priority is really the larger piece first before that goes in up there. So that's what we're working on, the larger piece right now. And we are working on that.
Any other questions for Dr. Quast? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so the matter we have before us is a request to amend ordinance number 2019-0-08, and specifically, the request is to strike item 2E, or no, I'm sorry, 8E, which is the list of uses that are prohibited there, the packaged liquor and wine store use. I'm going to qualify before I ask for a motion, just qualify this, as we're having some discussion. We think this is simply amending an ordinance, striking an item, but we are going to dig a little deeper, make sure that we're not, because this is on the edge of zoning, I mean, it is zoning, it's an ordinance pertaining to our zoning, just to make sure that we don't have to satisfy any public hearing requirements or anything else, but rather than just table this and start, and then get an answer and then start that whole process, we'll go ahead and do a first reading now, if there's a motion. So just so anybody knows, so I guess the question on the floor is, does anybody want to make a motion to amend ordinance number 2019-0-08, which strikes section 8E in the existing ordinance?
Yeah, just really from a procedural perspective, the way I see this is you all imposed these restrictions in 2019, which were restrictions, additional restrictions that were not opposed or imposed by the KCPC public hearing. So since this body imposed those restrictions, I'm comfortable with this body removing that restriction, and we would just see this as amending ordinance 2019-08. All other components of 2019-08 would remain the same. We would just be striking out packaged liquor and wine store as a, really we're adding it back in as a permitted use is really practically what we would be doing. Everything else would remain the same.
So that doesn't require plan commission approval?
We'll double check, but no.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
So with that said, did anybody want to make a motion to amend the ordinance? Yeah,
Shouldn't we double check beforehand?
that's my first reading.
It's a first reading. So if somehow KCPC or someone thinks that we need to go through that process, we'll know between now and the second reading.
But you're asking us to take a vote on the first reading?
No, we're asking you to take a vote to see if we even have momentum to move forward with the process.
I have a question. So I see here, I was not here in 19 when this happened the first time. There is, one of the prohibited uses is drive-through restaurant. Does that drive-through part bear any implications on drive-through liquor? I mean, I know, I get it, they're two separate, drive-through restaurants are separate, but, you know, if you think about which word I'm looking for, like the scope of the, not the scope of the law, but the intent.
Yeah, so I'm
behind
guessing
that.
And I don't know off the top of my head, but I can look it up. I'm guessing that we already define packaged liquor and wine stores as whether they allow drive-throughs or not is probably already within that definition.
Okay.
Especially with Z21, I almost guarantee you we would already have that within that definition. That might, and I'm going off total guess here, I don't know if the definition includes that or not, but I can look that up.
Kind of like a lot of times you'll see in zones, eating and drinking establishments are permitted, but they'll either specify no drive-throughs or they'll be silent on it. It's not a separate use, it's just an addition to that use. So I think in this case, the packaged liquor and wine stores is the use. If the intent of council in 2019 was to specifically include with the drive-through, I think that would have been stated in there.
I think part of it was the speaker system. If it was
It's always
gonna
been
be,
the
if it was gonna be
drive-thru, yeah.
used,
Yep.
yeah.
Speakers are a concern, and which direction the headlights are pointed in are often a concern with drive-throughs.
Yeah, McDonald's had to get a variance for their drive-through, just to
Yeah.
Which, my gut, without looking it up, and I can confirm it, I'm guessing that if they wanted to put a drive-through, they would also have to go through a variance or some sort of process through the Board of Adjustments, if it's even a potential possibility with packaged liquor in wine stores.
These are in addition to the requirements of the existing zone, so, yeah, whatever the existing zone has, that may or may not, that may be a conditional to add a drive-through, but I think the packaged liquor and wine stores, that use in there is regardless of drive-through or not, that use could be permitted. The question may be, is it gonna take a text amendment or a variance for a drive-through? Any other discussion?
Well, you're not gonna sneak a case of beer out of a teller drawer and drive through or tube system.
Yeah.
Well, you could.
One beer at a
You have
time,
to-
one beer at a time, Councilman.
Beer at a time.
Yeah. Phew, phew, phew. So it would have to be some kind of window.
So the answer to the question before us is, if anybody has any interest in amending the ordinance, if they, that, make a motion to approve with the, approve amending the ordinance to strike item 8E, the packaged liquor and wine store use. Do I have anybody that wants to make that motion? All right. Sir, I'm sorry, it looks like we don't have a motion, so the request dies for lack of any activity, for lack of a motion. I appreciate your time, and appreciate you coming in. Folks, I appreciate all of you coming in as well.
And for what it's worth, I've found the drive-through, and it looks like in our current zoning, we only allow drive-throughs for banks, restaurants, car washes, and pharmacies. And other is determined by the zoning administrator. So the general consensus is it's just allowed for pharmacies, car washes, which seems intuitive in a car wash, restaurants, and banks.
So would not
Would not
be allowed.
All right. All right, thank you all. Thank you, folks. We're going to move on to our next item of business, and that is awarding a bid for Memorial Park Basketball Court reconstruction. Let's see, and this is awarding a bid. Mr. Morcone, I know you drove this train, so I will hand off to you, if you'd be so kind.
Thanks, Mayor. As a lot of you know, I'm pretty good at basketball. So I thought it'd be
You
appropriate.
got the height. How do you not play?
Yeah, exactly.
You're a natural.
But we're still trying to find something you're not good at, Chris.
No, I'm not. The joke is on me. I am not good at basketball.
Yeah, but
I can attest to the fact that he is very good at a round-off cartwheel. I've seen it.
Chris Knox is better than you are at basketball.
Yeah. So anyway, West Side Paving, we had two bids, as you see, Rigler and West Side Paving. I had not heard of West Side Paving until this, but we checked on them. Our engineer, we got references. And ironically, this is kind of their expertise, is tennis and basketball and pickleball courts. So in some ways, I'm nothing against Rigler, but this is what they do. So we checked references, and we looked at some of their other work. So we are comfortable awarding this bid to West Side Paving. Comfortable. Telling my wife. But again, they're over in Cincinnati, but that doesn't mean anything. They're pretty good at what they do when it comes to these kind of recreation courts, tennis, pickleball, basketball.
And for what it's worth, when putting this bid together, we had extensive conversations with our engineer to make sure that we are doing everything we can so that this will hold up better than the last one. I think it's water drainage issues were probably the largest thing, and just really the grade of the court was part of it, or the slant on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's another word that I'm looking for.
Well, yeah, the percentage of grade, but we've added under drains, drain tile around the courts. There's water coming up from somewhere, but based on the latest drawings from our engineer, we might have over-engineered it this time. The slope, we're gonna add drains under the middle of the courts when they're torn up, and the blacktop will be thick enough that a car could drive on it. Now the courts, the blacktop's not really made for vehicles, and we don't want vehicles ever driving on it, but that's how thick it would be. So we think we have the problem resolved after 8 years of trying to find out why water keeps coming up, so.
How long will it take?
Well, that's a great question, because unfortunately, when they start, we have a time of year we wanted to do it, obviously after the fireworks, but when they grind them up, take out the black top, and put down the new black top, it has to sit for 5 weeks before we can coat it and paint it, because that tar and the black top and the oil has to kind of cure. So kids can go out there and play on it, and maybe with chalk, write lines on the black top, but we cannot paint it and stripe it until after 5 weeks. So it's going to be somewhat of an inconvenience, because if you looked out there before the council meeting, there's probably 50 people playing basketball, but the end product will be a lot better. So to answer your question, the entire project could take up to 2 months.
When do you plan to start?
Well, after the 4th of July fireworks event, and we'll get that out of the way since it's in July.
And one other quick question is, engineer's estimate seemed a little low. Did he have an explanation as to why he was
Lower
off?
than-
Yeah, well, he was figuring it at 139, and it's actually coming in at 182.
We were on a
Any
run of
thoughts
that for the
on-
last few years, then we were happy in a couple bids recently where they came in below engineers' estimates,
Okay,
but now we
so
seem
there's
to be
no
back to
Yeah.
that terrible place we were.
Okay.
Yeah.
My guess is timing probably didn't help
Okay.
us a great deal. I mean, we certainly see that, everybody does, is, you know, companies, if they're busy, their bids are a whole lot different as part of it.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
But I will reiterate what Mr. Marconi said. We were concerned when we saw a company we hadn't heard of, just seemed odd. But man, then we asked for their work, and yeah, Marty sent the stuff over. I mean, they have an impressive body of work. This is what they do, so.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
the difference in bids is well worth,
Yeah.
considering for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, Rigler does a lot of work, and we're very happy with the work Rigler does, but I feel frankly better about the fact this
Right.
is somebody who does this specific thing, has done a lot of playing courts, so. Okay. All right, any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve a bid.
I'll make a motion. Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the bid to redo the basketball courts.
I'll second.
Motion from Councilmember Waite, second from Councilmember Franzen. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Vogelpohl?
Yes.
Mr. Steffen?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
Yes.
All right, that motion is approved unanimously. We'll move forward with West Side. That completes our new business. Moving on to reports. Attorney Gadwin, have you anything to report?
Nothing, Mayor.
All right. Mr. Marconi, anything from you?
Yeah, just a couple items. An update on the sewer project that will happen with Peach across the street in Walnut Hall. It appears that that project has been finalized in terms of it's going to bid June 11th, I think. SD1 again is handling all of this, obviously, but unfortunately, we're only going to end up with about 50% of the households that would qualify. The south side of Walnut Hall will not have sewers, but their neighbors across the street will.
Is there a reason for that?
Please?
Yeah, we've got a few neighbors who do not want to be connected, and it all runs in a line, so without them granting easements across their property, we cannot connect the others.
SD1 has tried everything they have done for the last year and a half. On-site visits, phone calls, emails, on-site visits again, knocking on the doors after hours when people will be home, and the people that don't want them just will not sign the easements.
So they're opposed to the easement in front, even if they don't attach? They don't want their yards torn up or given an easement given up, is kind of where we're going, you think?
It sounds like they don't want a sewer bill.
They don't want a quarterly sewer bill.
That's what we're hearing.
But the sewer
I
can
met
pass
with
right
one
through
of
their
them.
front yard, they don't have to tap into it, right?
Everything's
If
going to
they
be.
grant an easement.
Everything, the easements for the houses that are on board, everything's going to go behind Peach on the north side.
Okay.
Behind Walnut Hall and the cemetery side. Nobody on the south side is going to hook up the sewers. I mean, at one point, they would have to cross Walnut Hall at some point.
Okay, so that's kind of where some of the issue becomes, you know? I'm just trying to see the.
Yeah, the original plan, if you look at the map here, if you can kind of see where my arrow is moving up here, was that south side, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but that south side lateral was gonna run across the backyards here, right?
Correct.
And then it was gonna tie in somewhere down here.
Right.
And then it would all run off over here.
But
Where did the sewers run for the apartments?
through where?
For the apartments that are back there on the south side.
It runs, the sewer, it runs along the backside of Boxer Lane. It kind of comes down, and they even worked with us for an easement. The apartments at first, a year ago, we had to get a hold of their corporate office, but the problem is the people that don't want it are holding up the gravity flow.
Yeah.
So that's the problem if you're above grade and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
But you said they don't want a quarterly sewer bill, but even if they grant an easement, they don't have to tap in.
They don't, there have been, SD1, and I have to give credit to SD1 on this, they have truly gone above and beyond. I got involved several months ago when we were down to 3 holdouts at that point. And SD1 was ready to pull the plug on it and went down, talked to them, and they were very responsive. But, I mean, they have literally, their engineer has knocked on doors on a Friday evening when people weren't returning phone calls or any other information to see if he could catch them when it was convenient. And it wasn't just one time. I mean, it has been an extensive effort for a year and a half. Gone on so long so that a couple of houses have sold, and people who had agreed, the new owners are not agreeing. Yeah.
Man, I feel bad for these people's neighbors.
Well, that's
It
the
is
next
completely mind-boggling. This is such an incredible gift. The idea that you can not only get the sewers, which I met with these folks almost 10 years ago, you know, right within my first year as mayor, and I asked if they had somebody had a system failing. And we met with SD1 and came back, and I'm shooting from memory, I could be wrong, but I think it was gonna work out to, if we had to do a sewer assessment based on the cost of the project at that time, it's gonna be about $60,000 per resident to do all the sewers in. And we've got this infrastructure grant that takes care of this, and then in addition to just getting the infrastructure, SD1 is going to connect them and decommission their existing septic system. They're doing everything. They're waiving the tap-in fee. I mean, it's an amazing, it's mind-boggling. Like I said, I met with one gentleman on this and tried to have that conversation, but.
So, Mayor, what happened to the people on the south side that are interested in it? And do they have a case to say, hey, wait a minute, we want this, we're being held up by somebody else? Is that,
They're not accessible.
is there a,
They have done, I mean, it's either we move forward now or we just scrap the whole thing, which SD1 told me they would have been out of this a year or two if it wasn't for the city wanting it.
and there's no way that we can enforce the easement to go through there and continue it even without them tapping, right?
Not without a taking of the property.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
We could do
It's
that, we
unfortunate some
certainly,
people are getting left behind.
Yeah. It is incredibly unfortunate, yeah.
Health department regulations can't play a part in this somehow?
They will, yeah. If any of these systems fail, the health department comes in, they'll be required to tap into sewers. Now, assuming they have sewers to tap into. And I don't know that they will on that side of the street. I don't know how they would on that side of the street. So they're gonna have to put in a system that, and none of these lots are large enough to accommodate the minimum is a 1 acre lot according to the zoning, but that depends, you've got to have the best soil, the perfect soil, in order for those perk tests to work. It comes down to a perk test. My understanding, I'm no expert, my understanding is you pretty much need 2 acres to put a sewer in, but I don't think we have any 1 acre. I mean, there's the biggest lot there. It's not improved, but, okay, so that's 8/10 of an acre, that large lot is number 49. So that's the largest lot on the south side. So yeah, they don't meet the minimum to put in a septic system. So when their system fails, you've got to find a new system.
Now, is there an annual inspection on these septic systems to make sure that they're continuing to work, or how do we determine a failure?
I don't believe there are. No.
No?
It's usually complaint driven if there's a problem. And we've had them where somebody said my neighbor's backyard smells awful, or, yeah.
Gotcha.
I know, my friends live right over here across the street from the city building, and their septic tank is, they've been told they're oversaturated, and they've put thousands of dollars in to try to get it fixed, and thankfully, they're gonna be one of the ones that get it, but I don't know what's gonna happen when these sewer systems start to fail. They're gonna come to the city and ask us to pay for it.
This opportunity in terms of the funding will never happen in our lifetime. It's almost unheard of that it would even cover getting rid of your old septic system. I mean, in some places on Peach, because of the grinder, because it's got to be pumped up, to SD1's credit, they even went in and upgraded some of the electric in the house so that they could handle the pump grinder. I mean, again, this is above and beyond anything. I mean, I'm just shocked that we have to do this. I guess 50% is better than none. That's how I'm looking at it, but I've been talking about this since 2021. We had our first public hearing at the senior center, I think 4 years ago. And we've done letters, notices. We have to know by this date, follow up. He's knocked on doors, they sent more letters, they emailed, they called, left messages, sent mail. I mean, I don't know what more you could possibly do. The mayor met with one or two, I've talked to some. I mean, they don't want the quarterly bill.
Well, as a city, we've done everything we can, so we can't say that we didn't make a giant effort to move this forward. So it's their decision now, and they'll have to live with it in the future.
Yeah, we absolutely have, and again, I just can't say enough about how hard SD1 worked to make this happen, or to try to make this happen. And yeah, that's it. These folks expect, we all expected these sewers to be hooked up 2 years ago. Yeah, now, and here we sit, so yeah, at this point, well, every avenue has been exhausted, so we just have to move forward on this thing.
They even re-engineered it and moved the lines to get the north side of Walnut Hall, to go around 2 properties that said no. So to their credit, the mayor and I talked to them, it pushed it back another 90 days, but they re-engineered it to go more on the cemetery property with permission.
Right.
And literally go around 2 properties that said no.
There have been no lack of hoops involved in trying to make this thing work.
One resident wanted to be reimbursed for their tree that would probably be killed. They could not agree on the dollar amount for the tree. The SD1 kept offering more and more to replace this tree. And I mean, at what point do you say, okay, we've spent 4 years on this, it's time to move on?
Well, I think we're at that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll move forward. And
You're doing all you
it is
can?
what it is.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. There's no question about it.
So anyway, that's construction in a perfect world would start in late August, assuming the bid process goes good and they, SD1, like I said, they're handling it all. It's nothing that we would have to come back and vote on. Only other item, Mayor, is I think some of you are aware, and I don't want to put Mr. Stefan on the spot, but I know the state is closing for the summer, I think here in a week or two, Bristow Road at 536. It's going to be closed all summer until school gets back in.
The sign said June 15th to August 1st.
Yeah,
I noticed that today.
yeah, June 15th. So I'm assuming, I'm trying to confirm, 536 will be open, correct? Going east and west. It'll just be at Bristow. You won't be able to.
It's the construction section there between, I think, Mount Zion and Short Richardson. That's what I think it is. I'm not in the construction side.
Right, I know. I didn't want to put you on the
Yeah.
spot, but I was told that they want to connect the roundabout.
Okay, that's a roundabout project. That
Yeah.
probably will be the whole thing then.
Initially, we
So,
were afraid it was going to be the intersection, but then didn't you talk to Mike Beazle or somebody that
yeah, it was going to be, Bristow would be closed at 536. And I'm waiting.
536 would continue open?
Correct, but
We just can't figure out how they get around that. But actually, temporary lanes may solve that.
If it's just for the roundabout, then it'll be a dead-end road from all directions there. And, yeah, I'll go talk to construction tomorrow and see what exactly
Yeah.
that entails.
I'm trying to, and I emailed Mr. Beazle today, but I didn't hear back, but I was just wanting to confirm. The way I understood it, 536 would stay open, and then I'm sure there's going to be some lane shift changes over time as they do the roundabout, but sounds like there's going to be some rerouting and some detours for most of the summer. But yeah, if you could let me know.
Yeah, I just can't visualize how to reroute there at the moment.
Up to the
but-
school.
Before we put stuff on social media and all that. I was waiting for their social media at District 6. They're usually pretty good about putting out a social media post on their Facebook page, but I haven't seen it yet. It wasn't there as of 4 o'clock today.
There's a sign that was the new bridge on 536 that says it'll be closed from June 15th to August 1st.
Yeah, I saw it on, I saw it on Turkey Foot today, but I mean, it was all the way back in Ellesmere, and I'm trying to figure out, starting here, I just couldn't see it, but.
The website says they're closing at 5:36 all the way to Beach Grove Elementary.
To Beach Grove Elementary. So the question is,
It's on the transportation, it's on the Kentucky Transportation website.
yeah.
I guess to through
So,
traffic, not to the
Is
road.
536 going to stay open is the question. Is this intersection of 1303 and 536 right here?
Yeah, I know Briscoe's
Road
gonna
at
be closed.
536 to the intersection of Beach Grove.
I couldn't get an answer.
Falcon Ridge is gonna get out.
Well, we'll nail down what we can. We'll keep pushing, get the answers, and we'll get it on our social media and let people know.
Yeah, I'll talk to, well, Mike won't be there tomorrow, but I'll.
1303 being
Can they
closed will be
reopen
bad.
Richardson before they
536
do
being
that?
closed will be devastating.
Yeah.
So,
I was hoping to have an
Don't think-
answer for tonight before throwing it out there, but I didn't, but I just want to kind of start thinking detours.
I think the sign said when I went through, 536 was going to be closed.
I mean, I could see them building temporary lanes to the north potentially while they worked on the roundabout area, building up as far as they can, putting in temporary lanes that go basically kind of around here. We can see my little arrow hopping around over there. And then coming back, and then while they have that temporary, building out this roundabout and then going back in and pulling together.
Do they realize the nightmare that's gonna cost to close 536?
I don't think they're going to. I don't think, the last we heard, we got the impression, initially thought they were. Last we heard, it doesn't sound like that intersection will close. 536 will continue to flow east-west. It's 1303 that runs up to Beach Grove School. That's the one, I think, that's the only thing that's gonna be closed, which isn't ideal, but that's a major reconstruction.
Public safety concern.
Yeah, we had lunch with the fire department last week,
Fire.
and had the police command staff and the fire command staff there, and it was definitely a concern.
They just won't be able to go west.
And, it's manageable, I guess, if
But
it's
how
just
are those people that
1303.
live on 1303 gonna get out?
They'll give them temporary access somehow. I mean, they're not gonna seal everybody off. Transportation Cabinet has done a good job of things when I've looked at it. There's no way they can do that, and they figure out a way. They'll repave a temporary, or pave a temporary road to get traffic around or do whatever. So that would be my guess, but we'll get more information on this.
Yeah,
And,
100%.
keep an eye on our social media, and we'll, share it. If there's any questions as it starts to happen, let us know, but we'll get the information out there, definitely. All right, anything else?
No, now that I got everybody worked up, that's all I have.
Right. Well, yeah, you really did too.
Is there anything new on the Cherokee Plaza, construction, non-construction there?
We had
Yeah.
hour and a half phone call with the property owner last week before.
Yeah.
Their plan is to move forward with that coffee shop, but they don't have, they're still working on the specifics of how, well, they gotta find somebody to run it. They're not in the coffee shop operating business, so they need to find somebody who either somebody who wants to lease it ideally.
It looks a lot better.
They cleaned it up. It's still not ideal, but.
No, but it looks
Yeah.
a lot better.
Yeah, the goal was to get it under roof and maybe have it, even if it's a shell, they can work with some franchise and some national retailers that might fit there. But yeah, things are moving in the right direction, finally.
Yeah. They are. The conversation was very optimistic. Now it was just a phone conversation with a gentleman in Florida. But he has big ideas. He's acquired the old library.
Okay, it's the same gentleman that purchased that whole section.
Yeah.
We dealt with Florida in the past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same gentleman. But he's since bought more property, and he has big plans for retail in that area.
Any clue how he became interested in that area, living in Florida, what his connection was?
It's what his company does. They go around the country and buy
Okay, so
kind
we're
of
talking
underperforming old shopping centers.
We're
and-
talking a developer of some type.
Yeah, this is not right. This isn't just a retired attorney living in Florida who has some real estate investments. Yeah, this is what he does.
Is this a fairly larger development company, or one you've ever dealt with before, familiar with?
It's hard to say. I've never heard of them. I don't get the impression that they're huge, no.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I mean, we're talking to the main guy when we talk to him.
Oh, that's true. Sorry.
Yeah. So he's been up here a couple of times. We've met with him, but, yeah, like I said, it was certainly a very encouraging conversation.
Okay, that's good to hear.
It's, words are good, action's better.
While we're on the subject of pavement, you know where
It's
I'm going.
happening.
Is
Is it happening?
They're doing it. Didn't you see all the trucks and regular
No, I didn't come in
blacktop?
that way today.
It was all down there today.
Patriot Way, so they're down there, it's
I
happening?
thought about
Okay.
calling
Oh,
you.
Patriot Way, I didn't know you were talking about that.
Well, yeah, that's where I was going, yeah. I
knew-
brought it up in at least, 30 days. So,
Yeah.
okay, that's good to hear they finally moved forward with that then.
I mean, they had all kinds of.
We're
like I
assuming
said,
that they're
regular-
moving forward.
Regular was down there and
Okay,
they
Yeah,
weren't
and after
paving
last
Patriots. so-
conversation we had, BDS was going to him and said, hey, it has to get done, so.
okay.
They,
Much appreciated.
How'd you miss that?
Huh?
How did you miss that?
I came in the front side, I didn't come in the back side today. I'm sorry.
Right. All right, well, now that Mr. Marconi has got everybody all worked up, let's talk about a splash pad.
All right, cool us down.
Mission
So-
accomplished.
In a nutshell, and I know I sent out an email to each of you to just kind of give you a heads up. I don't want to throw it at you on a Friday in an agenda packet, and we discussed it through the budget season. So to recap, we had set aside $1 million for the splash pad. As of this budget, we will have that fully funded, that $1 million. Unfortunately, or no, I'm sorry, $500,000. Had set aside $500,000. That was our initial, and it was a very rough estimate. We didn't get down on the weeds initially. We hadn't even selected the site yet or anything like that. But we wanted to have a starting point, so we threw out $500,000 and set up a capital fund. So we were setting aside a third of the money every year like we do. This new budget will be the final funding of that third, which gets us up to the $500,000. We've taken a deeper dive, and our original location was going to work out. The current location we are looking at is going to require some site work. It's going to require some retaining walls. The bottom line, and we also started thinking about there's no point in building this if we're not going to build an area for the parents to sit with, and let's have some shade there to sit in and that. We've talked about using like those nylon covers, things like that for shade. But at any rate, the bottom line is our engineer estimate at this point is $1.1 million. So we talked about this, certainly during budget meetings and everything else. Our goal is, and we've got an application in process, grant application process for $250,000. So that will cover nearly half of our shortfall. We've also talked to some local businesses, and we're working with them about the ideas of sponsorships, having a naming right for the main sponsor, and then a couple of tiered sponsorship on other levels. Our goal is very much to raise the additional $300,000 that we heard. No, $350,000, right? 250, yeah. Yeah, so additional $350,000. That is our goal. We don't, and really, we're kind of early in the process on the one company we were hopeful was going to sponsor. They don't seem to be interested in sponsoring anymore as a naming sponsor. And, we were hoping for a $100,000 naming sponsor, and that's something in that neighborhood. We never quite nailed that down, but we'll continue to have this conversation. We were hoping. We have this funded. This is approved in our budget this year. I'm not going to spend $600,000 because you all approved it in a budget thinking that we're going to get outside funding. What I need to know from council, though, because our goal in all of our discussions has been to open this splash pad Memorial Day of 2026. In order to do that, we got to get started. We've got to get bids out here probably in the next month or so. We got to get bid packets out. We're going to have to award a bid so they're ready to start working in the fall. My question to you is, we'll keep trying, but at the end of the day, we go to reserves to fill whatever shortfall that is, understanding that that shortfall could be up to $600,000. We should know very soon on the grant. I thought we would know by this meeting, actually. Haven't heard anything, but we would hear whether or not we were still in the running.
We are, they are.
Okay.
I think it's under the review process. It's being reviewed.
Yeah. So what we were told with this grant was that, the board has to review it, but once we submit the application, they can tell us very quickly if we're not being considered. If this isn't going to meet our requirements, so don't worry about it. We made it over that hurdle. We are being considered. We're waiting for, I would assume their board meets monthly, so we're hoping to hear something in June of whether or not we get that. So that closes, $250,000 closes a big piece of that gap. But yeah, we still have the $350 left. So that's it. I just wanted to have the discussion, see where council was at on this thing. Is basically, do you want me to move forward? As you all know, our reserves are very healthy. We're fortunate in that area. We've built up some good reserves over the last several years. So, you know, we can't afford it. That's not the issue. We're not talking about, you know, a tax increase to pay for this or anything like that. It is very affordable.
So from what I can tell, it's all been positive feedback from just about anybody that I've talked to or listened to. I haven't heard anybody yet say, hey, everybody seems to be in favor of it. So
I've
there's my
whined about
hope.
it.
I haven't heard of anybody, a
We don't
large
listen to
number of
you.
people.
I know.
Well, besides
Nobody does.
yourself, yeah, you know,
You don't have to go.
yeah.
No, you're right. I mean,
There
that's
hasn't been a lot of
every
pushback, is
conversations
what I'm
I've had
saying.
with people is they're very excited at the prospect of a splash pad in Independence. Yeah, I've not talked to a resident who said, "Are you kidding me? Why would you spend money on that?"
That's one thing we hear is constantly is kids have nothing to do. They need something. So hopefully this can cut down vandalism and things like that if they have something hopefully fairly positive to do.
No, I think it is positive. I've not been the most positive person on it, and I'm probably just selfishly looking at it from an administrative side. It's going to be
Yeah,
a
it
new
is
set of
definitely more
headaches.
work, but-
You're right. It is. It is. And you know what? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited at the prospect of having one there too. I'm just looking at both sides of that coin, but we really, I mean, if we sit and wait to see if we get this, we move the target to Memorial Day of 2027 at the earliest.
And it's gonna get more expensive.
And it's gonna get more expensive, exactly. Boy, it sure got more expensive this time, yeah. So, all things to consider. I mean, there was no question when we started down this road that there was certainly a will to do it. It's just, it was $500,000 then, it's 1.1 million now. And that's with some expanding. I mean, it was, again, that $500,000 was really just a placeholder to start saving something, knowing that we didn't want to get hit with a big number.
Well, I think we all agree, one thing we want to do is we want to make sure we do it right. We don't want to do something that we're going to say after it's done, we should have done this different, or expand it this way or whatever. We should make the correct product now that's going to suit us for a good while.
Solid, I mean, well, Councilmember Stefan and Franzen, I mean, they really got down in the weeds on it, did a presentation to council last year. I've had some conversations with Lexington. We actually had a standing invite to go check out one they just put in. Company that's working on Fox Run, I believe, was involved in that. Or no, I'm sorry, one of the companies that did. I was involved in that. The county asked me to sit in on that process when they hired an owner's rep on that, and one of the companies that did the Louisville one was there. So we've got some knowledgeable people around us. We've had conversations that we are, yeah, definitely every step of the way. There's been.
Well, I mean, I take a look at the amphitheater, for example. It's a wonderful place. It's great. But look how many years it had taken us to get to the point of terracing it off and make it even more usable.
Good example.
It took a long time.
Yeah,
And
man,
so-
people love it.
Yeah,
It's doing
so, you know, I
exactly what
think
we
this
always
is-
hoped it would do, and it's
Yeah.
making that asset so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, so that's kind of my point. I think we ought to make it right the first time and not have to worry about the future.
And it's
I
cool,
just-
our drawing, it's a patriotic theme, of course.
I look at how much the basketball courts are used by kids, and I think it would be really nice, especially for little kids. I know my grandkids would enjoy the heck out of it, so, selfishly. But I just, keep the high schoolers and middle schoolers busy on the basketball courts and have something to do for the little kids, and it's not costing families an arm and a leg, and to entertain your family anymore is probably a couple $100 a pop. I mean, it's been a long time since I've entertained kids, but to me, anything free is.
Well, to the mayor's point, I mean, honestly, we're running out of time, believe it or not, if we're gonna open this up, if the goal is to open it up next May, we need to bring a bid back here in the next month or two at the latest, so they can possibly start late summer in the fall and get it going, and then put the finishing touches next spring.
Do you need a motion of some sort?
Well, I don't want to do I don't want to spend money on a bid packet, find out we're not going anywhere with it, and then once we go to bid, we can.
So do you need a motion to
Yeah, I would.
use the money out of reserves if sponsorship isn't obtained? All right,
Yep.
I'll make that
Just
motion.
recoup.
And I will qualify that by saying exactly that. We do have the option, we won't stop trying if we get turned
Right.
down. So we may go to reserves for that, and we may replenish when we find that company that does want to have
Or
the
if we
naming
get the
rights for it,
grant.
or that, yeah. The grant, I think we'll know on the grant before we ever go to bid.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
expect to, yeah.
Well, I'm-
It's that 350 air ball is gonna be the bigger question on it. But again, entire number, 600,000, that's just an engineer's estimate.
Well, I'll
And
make the
ultimately-
motion to use the money from reserves if sponsorships and grants don't come through
Okay.
for the splash pad.
I'll second.
All right. So I've got a motion from Councilmember Franzen. I've got a second from Councilmember Brinker.
It was actually,
Oh, I'm sorry, from
Right.
Councilmember
Yeah.
Stefan. All right. Any other discussion? Why don't we go ahead and roll call this one if we could, Madam Clerk?
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Stefan?
Yes.
Mr. Brinker?
yes.
Mr. Failer?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Splish splash.
Take that as
Mr.
a good.
Vanderpool?
That's a yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, did I hear unanimous?
Yes.
All right, thank you all very much. We will get rolling on bid packets and with the hopes of probably not July, maybe, but certainly by August, we would hope to be coming to you.
In a perfect world, if we can get something here for the July 7th meeting, we're gonna, waiting to hear how tonight went, but I think, Rachel, we're gonna have to expedite some of the contractors that we know that build water parks, and anyway, yeah.
Remember how relieved you were today, now that the budget was passed a few minutes ago? Oh, well, let's hope.
I'll just put it on the record now, depending on when they do my son's surgery. I may or may not be here for that meeting, so I'm just giving my okay now.
We'll have to check the statute on that one.
On the best bid.
All right. All right, if there's no other discussion, I will stop at that.
Just a real quick, 4th of July. I've had a couple people ask fireworks, what day, what's going on. It's the 4th and the 5th this year.
Yep,
'Cause
4th
we're
and the
only in
5th this
June
year,
meeting,
so
yeah, so we're.
pretty
no more
similar to
meetings till
past
then.
years. We'll have, the big day will be on Saturday, fireworks will be on Saturday. Band is, what was their name? What is huh? Oh, no, I'm
Slow
on
Train?
Saturday night. Slow Train, yes.
Slow Train.
Slow Train, which is a couple of members of Gen X. Gen X is no longer together. They've been performing for the last few years. So, yeah, Slow Train will be the band on Saturday. Festival Parade will be at 3 o'clock, as it always is. Festival run from 4 till 11. Yeah, so we'll stay open after the fireworks to.
Same ride vendors? Have we changed anything there?
Yeah, same ride vendors as we've had for the last few years. Yeah, not a whole lot of changes this year. The big Friday night's a little bit of change. So Friday night we'll have a band. We've had Circus Mojo. Circus Mojo won't be there. I think we've got a balloon artist, we've got a performer coming in, magic show before the band starts. Friday will be family night once again.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we're going with that. We've asked our ride vendor for the past few years. Our deal with them was that they have to give us, put $1,500 towards some entertainment, some family entertainment on Friday night and keep the price lower on Friday night. So we were doing that. So yeah, we've got the magic show, we've got the balloon animals, and then we'll have a band starting at 7 o'clock on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hoopty.
Hoopty, yeah, Hoopty on Friday. Yeah, promises to be a great event. The big question mark is 4th of July is on Friday. So does that mean more people are coming out? Does that mean people are going out of town? Does that mean that the weather matters? There it is, the weather matters.
Yeah, the weather
At the
definitely
end of the day, we
matters.
can speculate all we want. The weather's going to determine. So let's, fingers crossed, say some prayers for another beautiful Independence Day weekend in Independence.
Okay, I appreciate the update. Thank you.
Any idea when Richardson Road's gonna reopen? I know that's not ours, but I don't know
I
if
don't have that.
anybody had heard.
I don't
Last
have a
update
crystal
was
ball near
June
that good.
19th.
It just keeps getting pushed
June
back.
19th.
Yeah. It's moving and moving. Yeah. I got an earful about it over the weekend from some family that lives near there.
Yeah, my mom and dad live there,
Okay.
across there, and
Yeah.
just makes it hard to get to them.
It's not, but boy, it needed it. That was
Oh, yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Again, I'll give the transportation cabinet credit. I don't like how long it's taken, but I mean, they pulled a crew from Robertson counties because they didn't have crews that could work on it here. They pulled a crew from Robertson County and brought it up. And I don't know if these guys have bought houses here at this point, but they've been there longer than expected. All right. Anything from council?
Party in the park.
Party in the park. Good point, yeah, we got our first party in the park coming up next Thursday. Band, very popular local band you all may or may not have heard of. They tend to bring in big crowds, so get here early, get set.
Mini kids.
Dog food, Doghouse. Band's called Doghouse. Yes, we are kicking it off with Doghouse, and for the record, every year Mr. Morcone and I have to have a conversation. He says, you know, I don't want it to look, I don't want to, you don't have to have this band every year. I have to have this band every year. It's everybody's favorite band. So we're very, very appreciative of to have him here. We love having him here. So that will kick off our Parties at the Park, and the Parties at the Park this year. I'm glad you brought it up. Carol was giving me the stink eye, and I'm just afraid I was talking too much.
I was not. At least not yet.
So this year, the Parties at the Park, we're actually expanding it thanks to our wonderful, wonderful sponsor, Hand in Hand Realty. And in addition, Barleycorn's Brewhouse is joining them as a co-sponsor in order to expand. So what we're doing, instead of the second Thursday of the month, it'll now be second, fourth Thursday in June and July. So every other Thursday in June and July. We're cutting August because Kenton County is starting school really, really early this year. I think like June 11th, maybe.
June 11th?
Or no. Yeah. They might as well. Might as well. August.
Summer break's canceled.
I guess like August 11th. Their starting day
All the
would
kids
be
are going,
2 days before our Party at the Park, before our second Thursday. They are starting on that Tuesday. And what we have found is when school starts, very few people come out. We had one in May one time. We had people come out because I think at that point parents don't really care about homework and stuff. But we're not doing a May one. So yeah, we're going to do the 4. But what we are doing, if anybody made it out for that last year, is the National Night Out, which turned out to be the first time we participated. And this is really it's an idea of it's a community-oriented event with the idea of really bringing law enforcement and the community together, among other things. But that's really one of the main drivers of it. We had a spectacular event last year, and we had quite a turnout for it. So what we've decided to do is the National Night Out will be from 6 to 8 o'clock on that first Thursday in August, right? 8 o'clock? Yeah, I think it's 6 to 8, and then we're going to have a very special party at the park following that event. So we will have a band come in on that Thursday night at either 7 or 8 o'clock. Can't remember what our exact timing is, but we got plenty of time till August. As long as I can remember, it's August, not June. So yeah, I'm glad you asked. So June and July, every other Thursday, Party at the Park. Thanks to our wonderful sponsors on that one. And then in August, while we won't have a regular Party at the Park, we will finish right before school starts. Week before school starts, we will have the National Night Out event, followed by a kind of small version of it.
And then the Simon Kent Lady Pioneer soccer team will be selling burgers, hot dogs, Cokes, etc. at the Party in the Park.
There we go. And we appreciate, love having them there. Give some great.
I'll be grilling food, so.
Despite that, I think it's a good thing.
Eat with caution.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have that. Our sponsor, Barleycorns, is they have purchased a van now. You know, they were loading their barrels in ice buckets previously, but they've got a van that I think has 6 taps on it. So they will be set up at all of the Party at the Park with a good selection, or as always, or as we have been doing since COVID, you are welcome to bring your own cooler and do that. So there will be food options. We'll have some food trucks up top as well. It's a great event. I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I'm out of town next week. It's killing me to miss the first one, but I'm sure somebody will zoom me in. If you could maybe, would you be willing to wear like a GoPro while you're playing?
Nah, that'd be too hot.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all I've got, unless anybody else has anything else that I might have forgotten. All right, well, I appreciate the assistance on that. All right, any need for executive session?
None, Mayor.
All right, in that case, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilmember Franzen, a second from Councilmember Waite. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.